Hello, everyone. Good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whatever time you're at. Feel free to say hello in the chat and say where you're coming from. We have the lovely Kat on the chat. So any questions or things you want to share, Kat will be there. Hello, Titus. Lovely to see you. Often you're the first one in. Susie as well from London. Jane from Gloucestershire. Excellent. Lovely to see you all joining in. Yeah, looks like you're keen. So, welcome to another Wednesday class. By the way, if you see my hands looking like they've got lots of things on them, my friend recently blessed my hands with henna. So I'm bringing as much Qi as I can through my hands to these sessions. We have got another wonderful start. We have had an interesting summer, we'll put it like that. In England, it's almost like we've had autumn throughout summer, and now you could say we're moving into autumn, and our weather's become really hot, like it's summer again. Who knows what's happening there? However, I will just say, I will come to the slides again in a minute, but we are starting a new round. So this is a bit like the beginning of our Wednesday class year, just like many people are starting school. And we are going to be starting the Shiatsu College again soon as well. So this will be a new round, beginning again with the metal element, which is to do with the lungs. So let's get ready and work with our lungs. Before we do, I'm going to get us all to, check in actually with where we're at in terms of, and I'm going to get the slides up. Here we go. Welcome to the Shiatsu Center. So this is the element round, and as you see there, clockwise, you'll see the lung, and that's like 3 till 5 a.m. And then we've got this classic slide that we've used many times. So there's the green level, which is really where we want to be most of the time. It's not to say that the others are just bad, and this is the only good thing. They have their place in moments, but really there are very few where we want to be using them. So we want to be able to moderate ourselves back into the green. So it'd be interesting to see where we all are. And I will set up this poll. Whereabouts are we? Which zone are you in? Here we go. So are you in the green zone, feeling open and compassion and joy and in the present moment and quite grounded? In the red zone, where there's more of that moving into panic, anxiety, frustration, maybe a bit of fight and flight. In the blue zone, where you're just frankly quite numb and depressed and a bit frozen and shut down, and that's understandable. And there may be a bit of both, green and red, red and blue. And we're going to see if through the session we can start to move around and come through. Who knows, maybe we'll be able to check in with this again at the end. That's what I would like us to be able to do, but you know me and timing, so we shall see what we shall see. Okay. So I'm going to drop this for the moment. We'll get started with a scan, see which burners we want to work with, and then get started in trying to get Qi moving through the body and working with points and see how we end up. Before we start, as always, I'm going to get you to sit there and just close your eyes for a moment, take your fingers away from the keyboard, and just let yourself settle in and imagine a circle of people. And this is this group, all the people who are live in the moment that this comes out and the people who are live in the moment when they watch it later. So this lovely group of Wednesday class participants, it is lovely to be with you all again. A moment of appreciation, and gratitude for this Wednesday class. Lovely. Okay, you can open your eyes. And you can stay sitting down for this, or you can come standing up. I'm going to go stand up. So, as you are sitting or standing, just relaxing your joints a little bit, just to be a bit more open. Not going to do much with them, just feeling a bit of openness. Allow the head to just gently sort of sit on top of the shoulders. And then bring your attention to the top of your head, to the crown of your skull. And then being aware, scan down through the head, the front, forehead, the sides of the head, the back of the skull. And bring your attention down around the eyes and the orbit around the eyes, the cheeks, into the jaw. How is the jaw today? How is your jaw and your teeth and tongue and nose? And then bringing it back, you've got your ears. This is our sense organs of the face, down the neck. And how's the back of your neck, sides of your neck, the throat in the front and inside? An important structure of the body. And then into the shoulders, bringing your awareness and your attention through the shoulders. How are they today? And travel down the arms, just the arms. So the shoulder leading to the upper arm. Does one side feel the same as the other? Down through the elbows, through the forearms, and through the wrists and hands. And we're noticing what the area is like, but also, is there anywhere that's really catching your awareness, taking your attention more than anywhere else? No judgment, however it may be. So we've got the whole of the arms, hands and fingers, shoulder girdle, head and neck. And now move through the chest and the upper back. And the sides, the rib cage, torso, front and back. Scanning through, how is it? Anywhere catching my attention? Through the belly, the abdomen, the lower back, the flanks or sides of the body. Always gets my digestion going. And now the hips, front hips, side, back, sacrum leading to buttocks, and then the sides of the thighs, fronts, back, thighs being the longest part with the longest bone in the body, and then the knees, major joint in the body. How are the knees today? Through the calf muscles and the shin bones, and the front, sides, back of the lower leg, into the ankles, into the feet and the toes, and then feel the soles of the feet, preferably on the ground or whatever surface you are on. Okay. Bring your awareness to the whole body. Let your attention spread out through the whole body, just to get a sort of flash image anywhere that is taking more attention up or feeling a certain way that catches you. Okay. Fantastic. You can bring your eyes open. If you have paper and pencil, then I encourage you to jot something down. If not, try and make a mental note. I'm going to do a little something here. And although we often draw out a human shape here, just because that's what we're often trained to focus on, it could be for you that it is entirely a metaphorical image. So that's just how it may be for you. just show you mine. So as you can see, a bit more, I mean, I'm tight across my shoulders all the time, but a bit more on the left side, a little bit like it's sort of, there's a rope that's slightly pulling a bit too tight, as if it was rigging on a ship, just pulling a bit too tight. So that's what I've got, as well as a little bit of a hollowness in the belly. We shall see what we shall see with how that becomes clearer later. Then we are going to scan through our 3 burning spaces. Now, if you're new, please do just follow along as best you can. Everyone, I'm sure, here has done this before. So from the pubic bone to the belly button is our lower burning space with the kidneys, bladder, and small intestine and large intestine, all in this space. The kidney is the real governor of the lower burner, really, and the energy that moves into and through it. So bring your attention, I like using my hands, bring your attention inside. What's it like in this lower part of the body? And if it were an image or there were some words or something that went with that, what would that be like? Okay. And just make a note of that. We're now going to move to the middle bone, from the belly button up to where our diaphragm is. And if you want to, you can kind of find where the ribs meet. That's pretty much that. Same amount of space. So now we're in the middle burner. We have the liver and gallbladder and the stomach and spleen. And just rest your hands in to this area, your attention sinking in. What's it like in this area? And if that had an image or some note about it, how would that be? Okay, and just to check, is it different from the lower burner? So lower burner, check in again. Remember what that was like? There we go. And then what's the middle burner like? Okay, is it exactly the same? For me, definitely not. Now let's come to the upper burner. So from this point that we came to, where the ribs meet, where the diaphragm will be on the inside, up to the collarbones. And again, same amount of space. So you can place your one hand in the middle, or if you want to, up on top, sinking your attention in, let the awareness settle inside. What's it like? And if that was an image or you had something to note about it, how would that be? Ah, interesting. And just to check in, middle burner, remember what that was like? Okay, upper burner. Lovely. A lot of difference for me. If you have pen and paper, please put something down. And if you don't, no worries. Make a note, but I'm going to ask you, which burner do you want to work on most today? So, okay, this is interesting. The middle burner tends to be taking most of the space today. Right, what have we got? Most of people have answered. I've I always end up wanting to draw more and more and more if I can. So I'm going to show you what I've drawn for my 3 burners onto the picture that I already had. Here we go. You can see the lower burner is meant to be like water flowing and with a little bit of a waterfall. So there's definitely movement down there. It felt like it could do with more sort of support around it. The middle burner is not very well drawn. It's meant to be like a field of corn or something, and it was quite soft. And that was okay. It could do with some support, some nourishment in there. And then the top is like floaty clouds in the sky. For me, I would probably want to work on the middle burner. That'd be me. And what we also have is most people wanting to work on the middle burner. So we will add some extra focus there. Let me just take my thing back to the chat. Thank you, Annette. Yes, they are incredibly beautiful henna on the hands. A friend of mine is a tremendous artist with henna. Now, before we really get going, let's just have a sneak peek at point of the week. Here we go. We will come back to it in a bit, but it is the wonderful lung 1. Zhong Fu, central palace, and it regulates and descends the lung qi and disperses heat from the chest. We will come back to this in a moment, but let's just find how to really find it. I'm going to show you on mine. So if I bring my arm up and sort of press it forwards, you see it makes that indent by the bone. Yeah. Now, just where the bone meets the shoulder, in the middle of that indent, find that and then come down. Hang on. Whoop, there. Come down by about a thumb's width. So you find where the bone meets the shoulder, and it's easiest to find if you push your arm forwards and then you drop down by about a thumb's width. And you'll feel there's like a bit of a softness just above your rib. And that's lung 1. And you can just feel it for a moment and just notice how it is. We're going to really get into some work, moving qi around, and then we will come to try and get the real physical aspect of it in our body. So that's what we're going to aim on most, is really focusing a bit more specifically on the physicality of it. And then next week, moving more into the emotionality of the lung energy. Okay. A most yummy point, says Kat, and it really is nice. Really is lovely. So what was I going to do? Yes. Okay. I would like us to, I'm just going to get these up again because we're going to start with the microcosmic orbit, involving a bit of visualization and breath. And of course, breath, because it's the metal element with the lungs. So we've done recently those central channels that run through the body. In the front, coming up to the mouth is the conception vessel, which is more yin, and running up from the perineum or the pelvic floor all the way up the back and over the top to the mouth is the governing vessel, the yang aspect of the center. And this is, as it says, all along the center of the body. So let me just close that down. You can do this again sitting down or standing up. I'm going to do it standing up. So I'd like you to find a comfortable position, standing or sitting, and just give a little bit of a shake out and a move just as much as possible to get a little bit of opening, maybe bounce around a little bit. And anywhere that you may have noticed when we were doing the scan of anything that was particularly catching you, bring a bit of movement and focus to that area. Now you can just do general shaking and loosening. Maybe there's a particular stretch that you know that you want to do, or you can be more naturally led and you can sink your attention into the area. So for me, it's here, and find how it wants to move. What is it wanting to do? And just go with that. And it's a little bit like when you have a cat or a dog and they're just waking up out of sleep and they stretch. They don't get up and do any particular yogic movements. They get up and they move how they need to move. So follow what feels right, or give it a nice shake and loosen. Okay. And then bring that into the whole body. And so the whole body has a bit of movement or a bit of expressing itself and finding itself. Oh. And then letting that settle and settle and settle more and more until the movement is just more and more internal, until it's right in the center somewhere, and you're just let it go. Okay. We're going to do the microcosmic orbit, and there's two ways of doing it. So I want you to start by bringing your attention down to your pelvic floor, the perineum muscle, right underneath and just in front of the end of your coccyx, your tailbone. And we're going to imagine as you breathe in that the energy is drawing up and up and up and over. And then as you breathe out, it just relaxes and sinks down and down and down and down and down and back to the pelvic floor. And if you want to begin with, you can use your hands to intend Qi from your fingers up into pelvic floor, rising up through the center of the spine and up and up and over, and then down and down and down and down. Let it go. And breathing in. Up, 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 over, 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 and out. And if you don't want to use the hands, just imagine the breath coming in and coming out. Breathe out and down. And what can help hold this microcosmic orbit is if you contract the pelvic floor muscles and place the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And this way you create a full circuit. So now, with the pelvic floor brought in and the tongue connected to the roof of the mouth, breathe in and out. Two more nice long breaths. And out. Okay, let yourself relax. And just notice inside your body, how is that feeling? So this way, where you breathe in and up and then down, is somewhat more activating. And if you're wanting to have somewhat more soothing, calming, we can breathe in and up the front and then out over the top and sort of smoothing down the back of the body. So if you want, you can try that for 3 breaths as well. So breathe in, coming out. And breathe out. Again, holding the pelvic floor muscles in and the roof of the tongue, having the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Breathing in and out. Last time. Okay. And just notice how the body is feeling. Cool. So, we're going to start off, as usual, doing a little bit of work with the lower burner. There are a few people wanting to work with the lower burner, and it's always good to start there. The breath comes in through the lungs and is descended and dispersed, and the Qi that comes in from the heavens by the breath connects to the kidneys. So it's fantastic for us to start there anyway. So I'd like you to, what feels right? Start by tapping around the lower part of your belly, below the belly button. And you've got the hips here and down to the pubic bone. So all of this area, just having a general kind of like tap and like a good morning wake up sort of, let's get the energy woken up and a little bit moving. And pardon me, if you feel you need to generate more energy, go for it. And if it's tender, then just be gentle, like you're giving it a loving tap. A little morning kind of like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. So you find your level of where you need to be. And again, you can think about where you put yourself on that green, red, and blue graph. Are you in the free state and it's quite numb? Do you need to give it a bit more to wake it up, move you further into the activity space? Or are you in that full activity and you need to kind of like calm it down a little bit? Like, oh, let's just do gentle tapping. What's right for you? Okay. Then we're going to circle. As we circle, just the lower belly, we're not going the whole belly, just the lower belly. As we circle, have a sense of energy, light, warmth, or whatever is necessary for you to be coming from the hands and to be poured into the lower part, the lower burner. And it's nourishing all the way through from the belly button into these sort of like the small intestine and parts of the large intestine. You've got your bladder, you've got the kidneys right through in the back, you've got the muscles of the lower back that connect through the pelvis. You've got the pelvis itself, and you've got your reproductive organs. And all of this is being nourished and warmed and governed. So just encourage a little bit of appreciation there with this as well. Okay, if you can, if your shoulders allow it, come to the back and you can kind of do this, rubbing the actual kidneys in the lower back just to get the lower back and the kidneys helped. Okay, and then we're going to do a tap down from the sacrum, backs of the legs with bladder, to the little toe, and then inside of the foot, I always turn the toes out, backs of the legs, but like the inside of the backs of the legs, up to the hips and round again. Little toes, inside, back of the leg, right up to the hips. One last time. This is opening and waking up the channels of the bladder and the kidney. And then, of course, as we have to do kidney one. So find a way of coming down to whether it's sitting on the floor or sitting on a chair. I have got a chair, but it's got something on it, and frankly, I can't be bothered to move it. So you're getting into this. You've got this under the ball of the foot, this whole area here. And you're really kind of squeezing in and opening up. Did you hear that click? That was my metatarsal. Obviously needed to release. And then you can do a general kind of scrunch all over the foot. You've got the heel and the kidney 1 point. And then, ruffle the toes around a little bit just to let them know that they're there and they can be moved and that they're loved. And before we go on to the next foot, just notice the difference. Okay, I'm going to just pull some cushions over so I'm not so low down. Okay, here we go. Next foot, just below the ball of the foot, into that general area. Yeah, and I see in the chat, Jane, you mentioned that you're in the freeze and maybe slapping can be too violent for the body to feel when there's especially things like shock, and that's absolutely understandable. And sometimes we need to, it can be different for different people. Sometimes we need to gently encourage movement. And sometimes we need to almost like wake ourselves out of being stuck there. So it sort of depends on how, when we are feeling in that blue state, that sort of frozen or maybe numb or a bit listless and hopeless feeling space, where it's not fight or flight, but it's more of the freeze state, then it's one of those things, just like everywhere and every time in life, and this goes for anyone, of course, we need to find our way. And sometimes we just need to give things a go. Okay. Wonderful. Feet are feeling lovely. I'm going to come to standing again. Here we go. Now, personally, I like being about shoulder width with the feet, but you can be how you want to. I would encourage you not to stand like that, or with the feet 1 foot in, or something like this. Try to be even and have a little bit of distance between the feet, or if you're sitting, then the knees. So that encourages the lower part of our body to be nice and open and fairly even. Okay. Checking in with the lower burner, connecting the feet to the ground, open in kidney 1, open through those channels that we were working with in the legs, into this lower burning space. And we'll just take a couple of breaths in. So let's take a couple of breaths as if we're breathing in through kidney 1, all the way, filling up the legs until we get to this lower burner place. And we're filling up breath into here. Then as we breathe out, we just let it all relax and breathe back down to the ground. So we're just breathing with the legs and lower burner. That's the idea. Okay, so when you're ready, imagine breathing in through the feet and the legs. Let it settle in the lower burner and relax, breathe out. Down to the ground. And in again. Settle. Relax the hips, sacrum, let the breath out. And one last time. Settle, relax the hips, and breathe out. Lovely. Okay. So, don't know about anyone else, but my base is now feeling so much more full and alive. So with that nice full and alive base and connected to the ground, let's move to the middle banner. Most people wanted to work on the middle banner, so we will try and give just as much, if not a little bit more, effort to this. However, because it's the lung weekend, we're going to have to give some extra effort to the upper banner as well. So here we go. Let's just feel, doesn't have to be really strongly, but let's just feel around that edge from here, from the top, going in around the edge of the ribs, into the edge of our belly, down, 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 until you come to around the edges of the ribs. And then into the feeling of that kind of like inside. It might be uncomfortable. Don't shy away from the discomfort of it. I can feel discomfort, and it almost brings up an emotional quality as well in me. And that's okay. That's okay. So as we go along this side of the body, the left-hand side, we've got the stomach. And then as we move further round, it's leaning in towards the spleen and pancreas, which in Chinese medicine is just called the spleen. On this side, we come round and we've got the liver that we'll be leaning towards. And then as we go further around, the gallbladder. Although they're very much intermingled in terms of their energy, but it's just location-wise. And as we come into the middle, although there are intestines here, it's very much that feeling of where the stomach becomes the duodenum, the first part of the intestine. It's still very much digestive quality. Oh dear, okay, that is quite enough of that. So in fact, let's do some nice smoothing circles. And this is now around the whole of the belly. Right from the top down to the bottom. You're coming up on the right, down on the left. This is a clockwise direction. And as we do this, we're imagining the hands bringing this soothing, warming, nourishing quality in. And it could be a literal thing. Maybe you're like, oh, I know exactly what I want right now. I want a nice warm cup of malted barley and milk. Yum. Or who knows what else it might be, a banana smoothie. It's up to you. You know, if you have that, let your mind play. Let the imagination work its magic. Maybe it's just light. Or maybe it's just imagining a really nice hug. Getting your needs met. Feeling that and expressing it. Okay, and then we'll let that kind of get smaller and smaller and smaller until it's in the middle around the belly button. Let the feeling sink into the center and let the hands drop away. We're going to gently tap from either side of the belly down to the outer front of the legs. This is the stomach, top of the foot, inner edge of the foot, inner front of the legs. This is the spleen. Stomach and spleen primarily around getting your needs met, nourishing, nurturing, and transporting the energy. And remember, if the tapping is not what you want, then just do stroking. And if you need more of it, really wake it up and move it. It's what's right for you. Okay, lovely. Now, sides of the body. Let's just start by just giving it some nice kind of like rubbing around the ribs. Normally don't get touched here much. In fact, oftentimes, especially when we're younger, the only touch we get around here is sometimes a hug, sometimes people just tickling us. I certainly got a lot of that. It's because I'm really ticklish. So my ribs are really like, they just want to feel nice touch. And it's nice to give ourselves that. And maybe it's not on your sides, maybe where you're feeling it is more around here. In which case, do that. Okay, just a nice smooth movement. And encouraging the smoothness of the movement is really useful. You can bring a bit more of a twist in if you want. Or if you're doing just the sides, you can bring a bit more of a tip over. The smoothness is important because this is now the gallbladder and the liver. So they really love that smooth flow and expression, whether it is the qi, the immaterial, the emotions, or whether it's the blood and the actual feeling of our body. Okay, we're going to do that lovely movement, this one. So remember, our feet, kidney one open, connected to the ground, softening the ankles, the knees, the hips, letting the body just relax into place. We're going to keep our spine straight and in the middle, so that when we twist, if this is the middle, if you notice, we're kind of twisting, we're pivoting in the middle like this. We're not coming over, just in the middle. And if you can, keep your feet nice and flat on the ground. And again, this is one of these ones where we can really, really work with what is our need. So give a couple of twists and see how it feels. And if it's like, oh God, I'm really stuck and I really want to move it, give it more. And this comes from the hips, not from the arms. This comes from the hips. You're using the ground with your feet to help to turn your hips and letting the rest of the body just twist up. Now, maybe you're not wanting it really strongly. Maybe your body is saying, today I just need almost no movement. In which case, allow the arms to be flowing as a conscious movement. And make it like a caring, beneficial or beneficent movement. Opening and closing. Feel that closing. It's an important thing for us to do. Sometimes it's really great to open up. Sometimes it's very important to close and say, no, close for business today. Okay, open again. Nice to see you. And now, no more. So feeling what's right, going with that. So maybe you're still in the strong movement and you may be feeling a little bit warm. That's good. We need to move the liver and gallbladder, move the blood if we are feeling a bit stuck. And you can move your arms so that it goes to places where maybe you're needing a bit more of a release. And again, if you're feeling more soft, flowing, feeling where you're opening and then sinking. And that really comes from inside, opening out energetically and then sinking and closing and being more in. And opening out. And then sinking and closing in. So you finding your way. Now bringing all of this a bit smaller. Allowing it to come to a natural close so that you're feeling the movement just inside the body until eventually it's so internal, it's just a felt sense. And then let it go. Okay, maybe step out a bit. Opening the hips. Give the legs a bit of a shake. Arms a bit of a shake. Pardon me. so much of this is setting off my digestion. But then I did say my middle burner felt like it wanted most work as well. So I'm going to get us to just press in a little bit, just leaning a little bit of weight in on the stomach, and then just before you get to the tops of the knees, we're just going to squeeze around the tops of the knees. And then we're going to come to the inside where we have the spleen, and the same thing. Squeeze around just above the knees to the kneecap. Just above the knees to the, like a couple of inches above, down to the kneecap. This is actually, you could do it on both sides at the same time if you want. This is actually nourishing the channels that will help with the knee joints. And it will also help nourish the blood, which gives us that sense of feeling our material body. Okay, and if you want to, you can also do the inside of the knee. This is the liver, inside of the knee, from above to below. There is a point in there, I'm not going to point it out, but this is great for nourishing the blood. You can do outside as well, and that's the gallbladder. So around the knees, great for the knee joints, but again, great for the blood. Okay. Notice how the knees are feeling. Notice how that supports the body. Lovely. Okay. Is there anything else we want to do here? Maybe let's do a couple of breaths into the belly. So we just really feel the belly. And notice first of all where the breath goes to. In this first breath, breathing into the belly, where is it going to? So let's just take a nice breath in through the nose. Notice where it goes to. Relax, breathe out. Okay. So for me, mostly upper body, little bit of ribs and belly. It didn't actually go very deep. It was mostly up here. So if you were more in the upper body, then try to allow your mind, your attention to move down through the rib cage into the belly where the stomach and spleen and the liver and gallbladder are. If you are more in the lower belly entirely, that's great. When you next breathe into the lower belly and let it fill up so that it fills up into this area as well. Okay, so this next breath, breathing in. And breathe out. Okay. And one last time, we're going to take a nice breath in. Encourage the breath to sink down so that it's filling into this area. We're going to hold it for a few seconds. And again, just doing a few nice rubs, either of the belly or of the rib cage, whichever you prefer, whichever feels right for you. And then we're going to hold it for 4, and then I'll let us repeat again. So, are you ready? We're going to do a nice deep breath in. Breathing in. And out. Now, notice how you're feeling. And I'd like you to remember when we do breathing, if you are in the red zone, a bit more like frustrated and there's lots of energy in your, then more breathing out, focus, longer out breath is going to be more soothing. If you're in more of a frozen or like just completely depressed and like lost and that sort of a quality, then stronger with the in-breath and then just letting the out-breath do what it needs to do. So more of that stronger in-breath is more building energy. Okay, on that note, let's move to the upper body. What time have we got to? Only 10 minutes left. Well, all the things that I wanted to do are not going to get fitted in, so we'll just have to make do. Okay, I'd like us to just start with opening the arms up like this. Now, if you've got a funny shoulder, you just go to where you can go to. You know, if you can only go to it like that, that's enough as long as you're feeling it. So just stretch. Don't worry about the breath for the moment, just noticing how it feels in the chest, in the shoulders, in the arms. Have your thumbs and fingers pointing. That's the lung and the large intestine. Lung, large intestine. Okay, just noticing how that felt in the body. I'm going to get us to start with the heart protector stretch, but firstly, tapping gently, very gently, because this is the heart protector and it's over the heart area. So we're going to be very gentle about this, but we want the body to know, hey, it's okay, bit of movement, bit of waking up, but with love. So that's across the chest, and then down the middle of the arm, to the middle of the hand and the middle finger. Turn the hand over, come up the second to last finger, or ring finger, up through the middle of the back of the arm, to the back of the middle of the shoulder. Do that one more time. And again, it doesn't want to be strong. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't want to be very strong. Okay, move to the other side. If you want more like oomph and energy, rather than hitting it harder, hit it faster. If you want it nice and gentle and slow. But again, it's like letting the body know, hey, it's okay to be this body. It's okay to be however you're feeling. And it's okay to be tapped. And that all comes through in the way that you tap, the way that you come through with a tap. Okay. We're going to do the stretch. Remember, you breathe in and then you breathe out. Middle fingers sort of slightly extend backwards. Okay, so we'll just do 2 breaths. Breathing in and breathing out. Let it hold for a moment and then drop. And remember, are you more towards blue? In which case, stronger in-breath. Are you more towards red? And the sort of like that, in which case, longer out-breath. Okay? So you find your level. And if you're somewhere in between, then be somewhere in between. It's okay. Breathing in. And out. Lovely. Going to do the heart. I'm not going to tap the heart because I'd like it to just stay as it is in itself. But you can kind of shake the shoulders and shake the arms and just sort of do that movement to kind of like open. It's like you turn the little fingers round back towards yourself. Okay. Bring your hands into prayer position in front of you, like this, in front of the heart. Allow the elbows to be high. Breathe in and bow. Allowing the hands to stay in front of you. Hand up again. Hands in prayer position. Breathe in with the elbows up. Bow in honor and respect. And have a smile on your face. Okay. And lastly, we will do lung, large intestine breath, where we breathe in like a yawn and then just let them drop. Okay. Make sure that you don't have a wall too close to you or someone else, so you don't want to hit it. So breathing in, nice big breath in and a yawn. If you can, yawn. And really try and encourage that out breath to be like a sigh or a sound, so the vocal cords are being initiated as well. Breathing in. We'll do one more. So just in your own time, with your own type of breath. Okay. And then just to finish it off, a little bit of tapping, top of the chest to the shoulder, down towards the thumb, back up from the index finger just above where you were. We'll go straight to the other side. Because we're running out of time and I want us to really finish off. We're going to do a little bit of the yang channels from the head down. So squeeze around the eye orbit. And then to the nose and the sinuses. Oh, yum, yum, yum. And then under the cheek, to the jaw, and around the mouth. Getting into those gums, allowing the qi to flow from your fingers to your gums. And maybe the front of your neck gently, one side then the other. The throat is quite strongly governed by the lung energy. Okay, I'm going to tap over the top of the head, to the neck, round the sort of edges and sides of the head, to the edges and sides of the neck. You can stroke, or you can give it a stronger slapper tap. And then tapping the tops of the shoulders. Again, it's like as strongly or as gently as you need. And then stroking down the backs of the arms. Stroking down the front and the sides. And if you can reach high up into the body, a little bit of a tap, you can even bend over. Right, okay. Hopefully we've got enough time to get into lung 1. Whoa, we've just got 2 minutes. Ha 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 ha. Shazam. So we did the microcosmic orbit. The metal element is what we're in, which is autumn. It's a yin phase, which means everything is kind of coming back in, like when we did this movement and then we came back in. It has some qualities about it, like structure, firmness, persistence, determination, value, and the material soul. Lung 1. So you see, you've got like the edge of someone's, where their collarbone is and where it meets the shoulder. And then there's a triangle sort of forms there, especially if the arm comes forwards with some strength. And you find where the collarbone meets the shoulder and you drop down by about a thumb's width. That is lung 1, central palace. So just hold that and feel the actual fibers of the body there. I'm going to close that up for a moment. And we can just see. So here I am. You can see the collarbone there, and then I'm down by a little way. Okay. And you're really feeling into the physicality. Do you feel it into the arm? Does it feel more like it's going into the chest, into the throat, further down into the body? Like, where is it physically for you? We're almost finished. And now I'd like you to come to the other side. And I'd like you to be aware as you hold it, collarbone, shoulder. Okay. As you hold it, and we are going to finish in a moment, I'd like you to just be aware of the physicality of being here alive. for one of the emotions is sadness and grief, and that comes from the Po, which is the Chinese soul quality that is the only soul quality that dies off. It recognizes the value of being a material body. It is ignited with the first breath, and it leaves with the last breath. Death is an important aspect of life, and we can love it as much as we do any other part because of the physical aspect of being here. On that note, I'd like us to just reconnect with the circle very briefly. Imagine all these people who have been here today. Have a moment of thanks. Thank you ever so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to put a heart in the chat. There we go. And we'll have to say goodbye. We've just made 1 hour. Enjoy yourselves. Play with any of these things as and when you need to. And we'll see you again next week for more lung-interested work. And remember, this is all heading towards the quality of our new college year. More information to come.